Let's start by a little bit of recap from our last talks, because all these talks we have started with the intention of keeping it intact one by one, and today we'll be starting off giving of the tools as I have promised day one. So you'll be having some tools, 2+2 activities to be done in our daily lives, and the mechanism of the machine that we are, and the things that we have started from day one, the patterns, the questions. I'll be adding more questions today. I'll be adding more tools to that. So as we are moving ahead, I want this to be fully there with all those things. Okay, amazing. So day one was just to have a recap. We started with what is the potential within us, and looking at the potential, we have explored and we have discovered and discussed that human beings as a species, we never stay stagnant. We always want to go to the next level. Going to the next level, we need skills, we need information, we need expansion of awareness each and every day. So we don't stay at status quo. We always want to move to the next dimension. So as we are moving to the next dimension, we have added some tools there, and I have given some small affirmations. The affirmation was the highlighted thing: life is easy. The moment you hear the word life is easy, or the people who are hearing this for the first time, what do you think? So what we started as, because I'm into literally giving you the tools. So what I said day one was, start affirming this to yourself: life is easy. And for sure you will have 10,000 different internal dialogues which will have a conflict with that dialogue. So you will have an internal dialogue why life is not easy. So I said that day that please note down those things. Literally list down all those things which says life is not easy, and those are the things to be worked upon with therapy, with whatever cure that we are looking for. The next day was about mental health. We literally explored the possibility, again the potential, because the whole theme of all the talks is all about human potential. What we can do, what we are able to do. So what we are doing in the present and what we can do in future. So abilities and capabilities were the theme. And in those talks we have literally had some points to explore. I think day 2 slideshow also we'll be sending you, all the people who are here, so that you have a brief, all those things, points, tidbits to get into that. I think to highlight that, I have given one formula to get back into the mindfulness or positivity immediately, to change your posture, to change your breathing, to smile and hold your smile for 5 minutes, because your facial muscles will give the signal to the whole neural circuits and create a different chemistry in the body, where we are targeting the neurochemicals and biochemicals of the body. And your eye location. EMDR is one of the famous therapies that is applied to remove traumas and all those things. It's all based upon, when I am thinking about a traumatic memory or a sad memory, where is my eye location? So it's different for different people, as per they are visually more strong, or auditorily more strong, or kinesthetically more strong. But generally the thing is, wherever my eye goes, when I am scared or thinking about my sad memories or past painful memories, let's say it goes down, I need to consciously and mindfully change it to up, above eye level, below eye level, or the eye level. So those were the small recap. So today we are looking into the same series of human potential, and we are stepping into more practical zone, what needs to be done, because I promised that as we are moving ahead in these talks, I'll be giving you different tools to take charge of body immediately. This machine needs to be in your control. You should be the driver, rather than the automaticity that drives you, the compulsiveness that drives us, or the reactivities that drives us. We'll talk about that, and we'll have a conversation about these things. Habits, healthy habits are learnt in the same way as unhealthy ones. How many of you resonates with this? Habits, good habits, bad habits, healthy habits, unhealthy habits. So there are some to and fro movements in life, where you are jumping here and there to achieve, to not achieve. Okay, let me straight away jump into towards the solution. Okay, as I started with, let's share the habits that is serving you, that is not serving you, one habit that you want to implement, one habit that you want to get rid of. Automatically we have discussed good habit, bad habit, positive habit, negative habit. The first element, or the first thing that I always emphasize, and this would be a takeaway, Literally, you can go home and take the dictionary. You have dictionaries, you have the meanings and everything. Literally go to those pages where good and bad is written. I want you to strike that off. Right, wrong, negative, positive, strike it off. What you need to highlight is unique, extraordinary, special. These are the things that we need to highlight, because until and unless we are framing these things and looking at it from the perspective of good and bad itself comes with its own phenomena. So good means you have a list of what good means, bad means you have a list of what bad means, and our mind is such a complex thing, it simply takes the information, infers it, imbibes it, and simply it's a vortex which doesn't gives you a proper thing. So this is what we have discussed in last session also. If we are out of judgments of this right and wrong, we as a human beings, we are not in the theme of judgment. We judge on the first step. Judgment should come later. The first step should be exploration. The first step should be curiosity. In that, we are simply removing the label of good and bad from the habits itself. So there are no good, there are no bad habits. So habits are simply a phenomena which we call as automaticity. Isn't it? Everything that we want to make it automatic, as Asma very rightly said, I want to make life easy, and certain things I don't need to put a lot of effort on, and let me make it automatic. Certain things I will do it, certain things let it happen automatic. What happens is these lines are fully blurred. We don't know what needs to be automated, you don't know what needs to be on the conscious zone. So when this gets fully blurred, this is where we are simply into certain habits, want to remove certain habits, want to add certain habits. Habit in any case, I want you to put in under one umbrella, that is known as automaticity. Now when we are talking about automaticity, let's layer our existence itself. We as a human beings, we are a physiological being, flesh and bones, body, reflex actions. If I want to learn swimming, I go for swimming classes, my muscles learn how to swim. If I am learning cycling, my muscles learn how to cycle. This is my physiology. Automated system. Next time when tiger is coming through me, my reflex action will simply allow me to run. Internal fears, internal whatever mechanisms that I have, program certain things within me physiologically. Now the beauty of this body is everything is integrated. One affects the other. It's like a cybernetic mechanism. On the next level, we are psychological being also. So there is a psychology. There is a whole software that works. The software is affected by, as we have discussed last time also, my reflexes, my sensations in the body affects my emotions. So most of the time, certain stimuli will stimulate my emotions rather than my thought. One element is I have a thought, good, bad, ugly, keep it aside, a thought which generates my emotion. On the other hand, I have a stimuli in the physical body which generates my emotions. A stimuli could be a touch like this, and I feel, oh, it's compassionate touch. Just the intensity changes and thap, slap. The moment I perceive this as a slap, what are my emotions? The moment I conceive or perceive this as a compassionate touch, what are my feelings? These are the things that are happening automatically most of the time. As we also spoke about categorizing our emotions, be it anger, be it sadness, be it whatever emotions that we have, if we have it properly organized, just as we organize our cupboard, shirts separately, pants separately, similarly, we need to organize the emotions separately. So the next time you put your hand, you end up with the right thing. If you dump all the things without organizing, you want happiness, you will end up with sadness. Clear till here? So let's remove those labels from the habits itself and follow simple 2 plus 2 formulas. So the first takeaway would be no good, no bad, no right, no wrong, no positive, no negative. Let these words be in the laboratory. These are lab or laboratory purpose words. Good in the laboratory, but when you are talking about life, it's a beautiful phenomena. If you apply those things to life, things goes in a disbalance. More than physiology and psychology, we are emotional being also, isn't it? We have emotions that are generated, of course, with integration of. then we are a being which is a heap of energy. The first formula of thermodynamics, energy cannot be created, cannot be destroyed, shifts from one form to another form. What shifts this energy from one form to another form? Again, integration of my physiology, my psychology, my emotions, which shifts my energy. And after this energy dimension, we are something more. Day one people, remember what we are? As a physical essence that we are with flesh and bones, we are also a spiritual essence, etheric essence, energetic essence. So let's say in my physical body there is something known as immune system. If my immune system is in physical body is working at the peak, 100%, awesome immune system. Even if somebody gives me poison, my immune system which is working at the peak has the capability to nullify that poison. But if my immune system is down, weak, not at the peak, even a mosquito bites, I may die. Agreed? Similarly, we have this immune system mechanism on the etheric essence also, on our spiritual essence. When we have this spiritual essence of immune system working at the top, most of our physiological, psychological, emotional energies are in balance and alignment and in calibration. Once this immune system goes down, even a person will tell you that you are not looking good today, and that might, boom, have an effect on you. It will affect your emotions, it will affect your energy, it will affect your physiology, everything. So keeping those immune system at the top is actually the whole work. The whole journey is all about aligning and keeping everything in balance. So what we have started day one and what we are moving towards is literally exploration of what I can tap into, how I can bring calibration and balance to all the dimensions that I am. As a human being, I am not just flesh and bones. If I was just a flesh and bones, then the whole job would be easy. Doctors could have solved all the problems. But we are more than that. That's why we need some more tools. Why we are talking about habits? Because habits are something which are literally an operating algorithm within the system. It's like a software which has been created unconsciously. That's why some of it works, some of it doesn't work. Some of it you want to keep it, some of it you want to remove it. Literally it's like a virus most of the time. You want to put an antivirus, if it doesn't work you want to format the whole system. Because it's literally like working in background but shaping our lives, isn't it? That's why this is as a first step. Whenever you are looking at making certain changes to this complex machine, we start with the habits. We start with what we have created already, what is not working, that what we have created. Because some habits help us reach goals more effectively, other ones will prevent. This is why we are literally exploring this dimension, so that we have some tools wherein we can tap in and change. This is why we are talking about habits, because your life today is essentially the sum of our habits. Is that true? Because of habits, whatever is happening, isn't it?
And
Decisions, your choices, the consequences that are generated with those decisions and choices, your desires, your expectations. So whatever is fulfilled, whatever is not fulfilled, everything is the story of what habits am I carrying as of today, right here, right now. So in this whole dimension, let's literally categorize it first. What habits or automaticity? I want you to simply call all the habits as automaticity. Certain things that are happening automatically. Why we do this automaticity? Because certain part of our physiology and certain part of our psychology needs that automaticity. So that at any given point of time, my conscious mind should have access to whatever is available in here and now. Because here and now is the potential. Most of the time in habits, I am leaving either the past or whatever is automated in my system. As I was getting myself educated in colleges, in schools, in universities, and this is also a general question in life, that I am now whatever I am. can I change this? Is there a possibility to change my habits? Is there a possibility that I can do something which I don't like now at this moment? So literally 20 years, 25 years back, if you would go to any psychotherapeutic approach, they would tell you that till 7 years, whatever you have built as a characteristics, as a personality, that is fixed and you will carry it for the rest of your life. By 14 to 16 to 17 years in the stages of development, you will be making hardwired belief system in your minds. That would be difficult to change. People who are hoping to change at the age of 35, 45, 20 years back, there was no hope. There were only religious kind of concepts or the religious kind of spaces where they used to motivate, no matter what, we'll push you. Technically, scientifically, there were no tools. But now, fortunately, by the grace of the Creator itself, we have neuroplasticity, which talks about no matter what age you are, we can change the whole wiring. We can change the programming through different tools. Of course, these tools are from linguistic, from the physiology, from biology, from chemistry, from literally each and every element that we are made up of. So you can tap into those things and you can change anything. The possibility of today is, if you want to change at the age of 40, 45, 50, possible. If whatever life you have led at the age of 7, 10, 5, 3, doesn't matter. So that is the hope. That is the potential that we are looking at. Because 20, 25 years back, there was no hope. This hope was only given by religious setups. Now we have the same hope in the scientific setup also. Yeah? A mechanism, a beautiful thing within the body, which is known as dopamine, which gives me a reward. That literally pushes me towards or motivates me towards whatever habits I have. A creation of habit, my dopamine is the biggest motivation point. The moment my body gives a sensation, I feel relaxed after this. Let's say smoking. Or I go to this place, I do this activity, I am with this person, I am in this environment, it gives me a reward. The moment I am receiving the reward, my body is boom, dopamine, and then I am in the zone of, let me stay here. This is life. The internal dialogue is, this is the beautiful thing. Why should I leave this? Let me be here. In this one, we have all the ingredients of I analyze, because a certain part of us is into the zone of an identity. That identity is all about I am smart, I know everything. And that identity pushes me into, okay, let me analyze. Let me think, let me calculate and come up with certain philosophies which supports this behavior, whatever I am doing. So you have a list of supporting dialogues. I am doing this because I am happy, because I like this, because I have list of supporting dialogues. And those supporting dialogues, unfortunately, most of the time are in the zone of that automaticity. It goes deep into your subconscious mind, it is literally engraved there. And that is what is creating all those unconscious habits. A certain zone in which I have a void, an emptiness. That emptiness, I want to fill it. Now to fill that, sometimes I use only my analysis, I use philosophies that is available around, I use whatever tools that are available. My desperate need to fulfill that void, to fill that emptiness, will push me into a certain behavior. That behavior, if it is repeated again and again, that will become a habit. So the main cue or the context that we start to go into an automated behavior or a habit is all about I want to fill this emptiness. Either I should have some people around me to fill that, or I should have some object to fill that. I should have something within me, at least as an intellectual dimension, which should fill that. I should have emotions within me, or I should be emotionally intelligent to fill that. Basically, in the stages of development, this initial zone is fulfilled or should be filled by the parents. So in a functional family, it's a beautiful setup. This is not a big deal, not a big issue. But unfortunately, when we look at people coming from a dysfunctional family, this void remains all the time. And just to fill that void, you find different coping mechanisms. And when you find different coping mechanisms, you will simply come up with, let me try this, let me try this, let me try this. And when you repeat certain things, no matter you are trying 10 different things, but your intention behind that is to fill that void, that itself will create a pattern in life. You might have noticed that you are shifting from person to person, relationship to relationship, jobs to job, but still same story is happening, ending up in the same way. Same emotional pain is happening again and again. So the intention behind that, or an unconscious intention behind that, is I have an emptiness, I need to fill that emptiness somehow. And me, a part of me, which is a smart me and intelligent me, the IQ part of me, tries to fill it with whatever information I have, which is most of the time a coping mechanism or an unconscious dimension which we approach from. The next layer that we look into is the behavioral responses. And this is what again goes into a creation of certain habits. How we respond. The first thing which most of the people who are not mindfully trained, who are not having or who have not received the wisdom of life, or from the other hand not received the kicks of the life which brings the wisdom in, they simply react, or the behaviors are reactive in nature. You can just have a scan of your ideal day, or last week or a month or 4 or 5 years of your life. How many times are we reacting to situations, to people? Our behavior is reactive in nature, just reactive, without even thinking. I am simply reacting. Now generally people who see that as a behavior might label you, what a reactive person, doesn't think twice before doing ABC XYZ. What they don't see is the behavior which has been programmed right in the zone of upbringing. What was his environment? How was his education? What religion influences he belongs to? How were his parents? So all these things will add to this reactivity, because as we discussed, each and every mechanism in your body, specifically the reactive mechanism or the behaviors, have positive intention behind that. Every behavior have a positive intention. Even if you ask, worst to worst person on the planet, he will tell you some positive reason why he or she is doing that, whatever they are doing. Acknowledging that, we literally tap into how many things are reactive. So you can literally make a list of things that is done on daily basis, monthly basis, or 5 years that happened in a reactive way, that you didn't give a second thought and it was reactive. Yeah. The second zone, which creates again all those habits, one thing that you will find in common is repetitiveness. Now repetitiveness doesn't mean that you are repeating the same action, but you are repeating the same intention. Please, I want to emphasize and highlight that. People generally look into, okay, this action is repeated, it might become a habit. Intention. Intention to fill a void. Intention to feel happy. Intention to feel relaxed or calm. Intention to feel acknowledged. Intention to feel heard. All these intentions might end up in different situation, events, and different kind of patterns, which will be again a repetitive. So intention would be repeated, not necessarily the action, which will create a pattern in life. So either the patterns or the behaviors will kick in. Next thing, compulsiveness. I want you to literally have this as a headline, compulsive, and make a list of how many things I am compelled to do in the name of emotions, in the name of relations, in the name of religion, in the name of education, in the name of societal norms, whatever it is. Now we are not talking about good, bad and ugly. Again, let me re-emphasize that we are not talking about this is good, that is bad, this is right, that is wrong. Keep it all aside. We are talking about how many things are happening compulsively. Compulsive is absolutely equal to slavery. Somebody compelling me to do something against my will. So you can either have a headline, I am compelled to, or you can simply ask a question. Today morning I woke up, I am about to go to work. I want to go to work or I have to go to work. All have to, should, must will have a list of compulsions or compulsiveness that we go through. Because this layer of habits are created by my compulsiveness. Unfortunately, most of the time this compulsiveness goes as deep as in my tissue or the cellular memory. And my body sensations, my body reactivity or reflex actions goes into that compulsive mode. That is where a psychiatrist, a psychologist may label you as OCDs. Not only a behavior, but muscle also is reacting. Reflex actions also are like that. Some people have lethargy, some people have different kind of zones where compulsiveness has gone into the muscles, because it has stayed a long time in the psychological zone, in fear, in ABC, XYZ compulsions, and it goes into the muscular memory also. The third thing that we train people into is the proactive response. So this proactive is, just let me brief it up, because that is the whole dimension of bringing balance. As a human being, as we started, that we don't want to stay on a stagnant level. Stagnation is not our theme. We want to move to the next level. Believe me, even if you know the whole alpha and omega, human species would be looking for something more. We are like that, because we have this whole system where 80 billion neurons has the capacity of 8 GB each as a memory, and somehow we want to fill it. In that, we are on the quest of knowledge. So proactive response is all about me coming into a dimension of here and now. What is happening here? What is happening now? In the same context, I will be teaching you today the meditative process, or the first stage or a beginner stage, to start bringing the mindfulness, because that is what needs to be cultivated. The more mindful I am, the more I am out of reactivity or compulsiveness. I am in the zone of proactive responses, informed choices, informed decisions, beautiful consequences. The mechanism of body is such that if I am with a certain intense emotion, let's say, so what creates that muscular memory is the intensity of my emotion. So with some compulsiveness, for example, I have a lot of people who say that I am doing this, I have to do this, I should do this, I must do this, but I don't resonate with this. I believe this is correct, something else. And it could be coming from a religious context, it could be coming from a belief which he is carrying from parents, it could be coming from the societal norms or the stereotypes, whatever it is. A person might say, should, must and have to, I cannot digest. I want to do something else. I would love to do something else. I would like to do something else. The stereotypes would not acknowledge it. The society will not accept it. The religion will say this is blasphemy. This is where the suppression, the moment I suppress this, I am unable to express this, this will go into my muscular system and my body will start to express that now. So that expression is in form of different expressions, because the body's potential and possibility is so much that it can express in form of diabetes, thyroid disbalance, a list of all psychosomatic disorders. Your body can express in all those forms, plus a certain epileptic attack, those are bonus. So that's what the reactivity goes into. So a little bit of solution or towards solution. This is not 100% full solution, but this is the first step. As I am very particular and I always emphasize this about the process and the ingredients. So not only that you need to know the ingredients to make a cake, let's say, but you need to know the process also. So the process literally applies by this is the first step, this is the second step, this is the third step. Unfortunately, we have never organized our lives like that. We literally jump on the last step. As we were speaking last time, that we judge people on the behaviors, which should be the last step, but we do it in the first. So the moment I see you behaving in a certain way, I label you. That's not the first step. If at all labeling is required, if at all I'm telling you. Even though we are, as a human beings, we are not in the zone of or in the theme of labeling. But if at all, if something needs to be labeled, that is the last step, not the first step. So that is where we mess up the whole thing. So these are the first steps. The first thing is will to change, not belief. Generally, this is the whole ingredient of a human mechanism. We start with belief, we stay believing, we die believing. It's a journey where you start with a belief and you should end up with knowing. end up with knowing, no, I know. Just a small example. If I ask you, Asma, your name is Asma, do you believe your name is Asma, or you know that your name is Asma? You know that your name is Asma. How do you know that your name is Asma? Everyone is calling me. In my birth certificate it is same, in my passport also it is same. My parents right from my childhood call the same. Everybody calls me the same. That's why now I know that my name is Asma. So you might be having more than 10 references which tells you that your name is Asma, isn't it? Each and every belief that we carry should have the same mechanism. At least 10 to 15 references which supports that belief. Unless and until you have that belief supported by 10 references, you will have internal conflict. Because you have a lot of information within you. A lot of information is there. This is the information era, isn't it? IT, and now we are in AI. So a lot of information is already there. With that information, it will be in conflict if each and every belief will not have at least 10 to 15 references.
So does this mean that we always need to have confirmation?
Not confirmations, references, which proves that your name is Asma.
So I know I'm kind, and Rima doesn't see me as kind. Does it mean I am not kind?
Exactly, this is what I am telling you. If you feel that I am kind, 10 people around me don't feel I am kind. Now you need to literally expand your awareness and action. What needs to be done so that I literally express myself as kind at least, because 15 people means, why they are saying this? Either those 15 are wrong or either I am wrong. This is where you take charge and take that step and you say, okay, let me explore, let me expand. Either I label myself wrong and start, or I either label 10 people as wrong and I'll start. Look at the consequences, what will happen. Yeah. So the first thing would be my will to change from belief to knowing. So my journey should always start with belief, because that's a reference point, and I should be literally continuing that journey towards knowing. The second thing is give yourself a permission. This is literally a combination of physiological, psychological and neurological thing. This permission is very, very necessary for anything and everything, be it creating your habits, be it being successful, be it being whatever it is. And the three ingredients in that, or the questions that you should be asking yourself is this thing possible? First question, whatever it is, it could be anything that you have in the list. Am I able to do that? And the third thing is, am I worthy? These three things should be very clear in life in every aspect. The third point would be, always draw a line between my fears and people's fear. Is it what I am afraid of? Is it what I think? Or is it what I am influenced by? It's not about bubbles. I'm not literally, my intention is not to create the boundaries here. It's all about just me acknowledging, is this mine or not mine? No. When you create a boundary, you label the other person, you are bad. I am correct. No matter what, I am correct. Why I am correct? Because I have to take care of myself. Why I am correct? Because self-love. You are not loving me, I love myself. That's a totally different zone. So this is just an acknowledgement of these disturbances are coming from within me. An honest step which you take and say that, okay, let me start with myself. What is wrong in that? Not labeling the others, not with the intention of creating the boundaries. Surround yourself with positive reinforcements. I'm not talking about people. Everything that can create a positive reinforcement, a positive environment around you. The best starts within you. And you already have one affirmation with you. That is, life is easy. It's a miracle word, believe me. That have changed my life when I received that. Everything against that one word, life is easy. Why life is not easy? Will make your life easy. Identify your resistances. Now this is where we are beginning the journey of mindfulness. Identifying my resistance literally means I want to do this, I like to do this, I love to do this, I resonate with this, this is what feels good to me, this is what feels right to me. Now, whatever it is, be it society, be it religion, be it people around me, or be it certain things within me, it could be a fear, it could be a conflictuous dialogue within my head. What are the things that are resisting that? The simple example could be life is easy, everything against that is resisting that. So, list of resistances should always be ready with you. This is what is resistance within me. Yeah? And the next one would be create a visionary space. Day 2 or day 1, I think we have discussed this human ability to imagine and visualize. We have also noticed that this ability of visualizing and imagining is not there in any other species. Imagination, how we do. Visualization, how we do. How we stretch, how we extend, how we create. I mean, literally, you can know an elephant and you can know a blue color and you can imagine a blue elephant, isn't it? So, you have two informations, you can literally club those two informations, come up with a third information. That is the possibility of the mind. In that, always have this imagination, what you want. So, the 3 questions that I always ask people to keep as handy: what I want, that is my desire. Always know your desires. Philosophically, people might say that desires are this, desires are that, desires are good, desires are bad, desires is that. Whatever the philosophical dialogues or philosophical agendas are, simply acknowledge desires are the essence and right ingredients of your life. If it is placed in the right place and time, it will have a right consequences. Yeah. The second thing or the second question should be why I am desiring that, or why I want those things, whatever I want. And that why should be motivating you towards whatever you want. In that dimension, the simple thing is, if I have this, what will I become? Straight away towards your identity. It's not about what I will get, it's not about how I will feel, it's about how I will identify myself. Because as we have discussed in last sessions, identity will give you capability and ability. That is the only tool. However I identify myself, my capabilities and abilities will be accordingly. So, my second question is all about why I want things. And that why is also the essence of everything, which is intention. My intention for my wants. Yeah. And again, checking with, do I have to do it or do I want to do it? 2-3 long deep breaths. And just to put one more point of information here, that as in our whole structure of our existence, we have different brain waves. As we are speaking, as you are listening to me, calculating, analyzing, this is beta frequency of mind. There you are very active. Brain waves is also very active. The moment you take 2-3 long deep breaths and starts to relax with the intention of relaxation, you will go into alpha frequency of the mind. And as you relax more and more, and as you start imagining, as you start visualizing, as you start using your mind in creative processes, in deep relaxation, that is the theta frequency of the mind. In meditation, there are more deeper frequencies, which are gamma and epsilon frequencies, which are used by yogis, which are used by people who meditate, who are in the advanced level of meditation. But we are starting as a beginner now. So these kind of meditations, 15-20 minutes is enough to give you 1 or 2 hours kind of relaxation. And when I said observe the observer, how many of you had that? What was your experience?
So I was just visualizing myself sitting here, but just being.
How was the sensations in the body?
Like goosebumps.
Goosebumps.
Just at the moment that I thought I was visualizing, I just had that.
Yes, yes. How was it?
I felt as if I was flowing. Floating.
Yes, yes.
It was nice.
And this kind of meditations can be done anytime, anywhere. You don't have to go in a silence place and just have the blinds and getting like disconnecting from the lights or all those things. No. You could be driving your car and start observing the sounds. You could be simply sitting there at your dinner table or your lunch and simply observing the taste and the smell. So at that time you will be meditating. This is mindfulness. You are bringing the mindfulness to the surface. Mindfulness will cultivate meditation, meditations will cultivate mindfulness. Chicken and the egg. Yes, so the whole idea is all about to engage all the five senses in here and now. You are not in past, you are not in future, fully engaged in now. Fully engaged in what are the sounds happening now, what are the visuals happening now, the body sensations which is happening now, smell and taste now, breath now. So all the senses are engaged, bringing you in here and now. That will literally change the neurochemicals and biochemicals in the body. And your body will perceive it as the potential safe zone. Yeah? Because that present is the potential where you will open the doors for whatever is to come in the advanced levels. The moment you see a color, what this color means. I mean, the moment you see an elephant, what elephant means. So this giving meanings itself becomes so complex, and people will literally like detach themselves, unground themselves in this zone. When I do this, most of the people, I see this, angels coming in. Now angels to me means, then tuk 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 tuk, the meaning starts, and the whole zone will be driven into that zone. So no need to give any meanings to anything. Without meanings, stay an observer. That's how life should be. When you are trying to bring the balance in, start with nullifying the meanings. Because the meanings that we give will create an identity. The identity that we have will give you the capabilities and abilities. That's what will project a behavior. So step by step, if you can nullify that, which we are simply, I'll take you through that whole thing. We have started day one with questions, added second day with questions. Here also you have some questions.